Welcome to Middle Fingers Up, the show where we hold our heads high and our middle fingers higher. I'm your host, Kieran McKay. I'm so excited to welcome back Neha, the founder of Ninja Nari. Neha first joined us in episode 85, I Am Meant to Empower, Share Stories of Other Women. During that very powerful conversation, we talked about navigating cultural identities, reclaiming our voices, and how her mission to amplify stories of South Asian women has turned Ninja Nari into a trusted space for connection, community, and the big goal that she's been looking for, which is empowerment. Today, though, Neha is here to share another exciting chapter in her journey, a children's book that beautifully captures what it means to live in the and between Eastern and Western worlds, with Diwali and Halloween falling pretty much on the same day, back to back this year. Neha's book helps families and kids see that they don't have to choose one tradition over the other. Instead, it shows how we can embrace and celebrate both, honoring both our roots while embracing where we are now. I love this because everyone listening knows, you guys can probably roll your eyes, is all I ever want to talk about is those gaps we keep finding ourselves in between the Eastern and Western worlds. And so having someone like Neha, who comes from India, came to Canada not too long ago, jumping in, really figuring out how to use crisis and surviving as an opportunity and do something about it. It blows my mind because I think a lot of our moms growing up probably could have benefited from a book like this or help in how do you navigate both cultures. So she's doing this. She's raising kids in this country while living in this country and figuring it out with her husband. Super happy to welcome you back. Thank you for being here. How are you doing?
Yay. Thank you, Kieran. I'm so glad. I'm so thrilled to be here. Like I was here, I think 2 months back, a few months back, and I can't believe it that I'm here the second time around. We just talked about Spooks and Sparklers back then, that it was in an ideation phase. And now here we are, just about, sort of launching it officially in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're back. One of the congratulations, first of all. You're doing amazing stuff. We're going to talk about Spooks and Sparklers in a second because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. But maybe the biggest thing I'd like to start with between Ninja Nari and Spooks and Sparklers is that so many of us could probably agree we have ideas. There's things that we want to do. There's things that we're hoping, on our list, or one day I want to open this center. I want to create this. I want to write a book. All these things that we all hope for. And you're raising very young kids, and somehow you're finding the magic in the day to do these things. So I just want to know, how do you go from an idea like Ninja Nari, an idea like Spooks and Sparklers, and then making it actually happen?
I think so. Those who know me, they know that I've always had this little thing about starting being an entrepreneur, owning my own small business, and I've dived into it multiple times. I think I don't even remember how many businesses I've opened, and shut them off. So, but the most recent one was, where I used to make name crayons, and, I was in it for about 2 years or so. It didn't pick up. So, I made a call to, shut it down. But, for Ninja Nari, I think the idea just came, and all the businesses I used to struggle. I used to have this, rinse repeat cycle where I used to think of a name, think of a logo, and get going in it. With Ninja Nari, everything seems to fall in place, with the name, with the logo, with the idea, even finding the time for it. It's just been happening naturally. I'm not fighting or pushing it. It just, and I think that comes a lot with my grandfather was very big in community. My father, my mom, they've all been. So I think I've I've grown up watching that. And so just, just recently, I think I read somewhere the purpose of your life is serving. You're the best when you're serving the community. This is a realization which is gradually coming to me is, if you're struggling to find your purpose, if you're struggling to, like you said, put the ideas into reality,
Mhm.
you just gotta start serving the community in any form or other, and you will find your purpose.
Oh, I feel like that's such a lovely way to talk about just igniting our light. Sometimes our light dims, it gets dull. We kind of forget why we're doing the things we're doing because we get so busy, like you said, with that whole rinse, repeat cycle motion. And to be reminded that sometimes when we lose our way, the best way to find it is, okay, like our village, our community, who are the people. And it's true, like we feel great when we're helping others and when we're seeing our community thrive. And, YYC can use people like you out here to help our community thrive. So again, before we get into Spooks and Sparklers, I just want to, we brought up Ninja Nari. So let's talk about Ninja Nari. Like since the last time you were here, I'm noticing, feels like every couple of days, there is another woman that you have interviewed who is willing to share her story. And I know when you first came here, you weren't sure if you're going to keep this going because the momentum wasn't there. Like people really weren't getting back to you, or maybe feeling like, many women will say this, I don't have anything to contribute. But now something's changed. So I want to know, like, what's going on? How is this happening? This is like, it looks amazing.
Yeah, no, like, but before I dive into that, I will always be thankful to you, Kiran.
Oh, what?
Just because, I mean, like I had started Ninja Nari, and I shared that in the previous episode is that there was lull, like you just said that nobody was getting back to me, but I don't know what you saw in me, what you saw in Ninja Nari, that 15-minute pep talk totally changed the way of Ninja Nari, and then I think like when I was having a lull and it was not picking up, then I started doing stories around the women in my life. My mother-in-law was visiting us, so I did a story on her. Then I did a story on my mom, and then I did a story on you.
Mm-hmm.
So then I think it just picked up, and I'm so thankful to all the women who are seeing who are opening up. And even if I reach out to you, and if you accept my offer of sharing the story on Ninja Nari, or if you take your time, or like if you come to me yourself, I just want to say a huge thank you, because I was just, as we were talking before the recording, Kiran, like it takes an immense amount of courage to come out. Like these are not controversial questions that we put in, but regardless, having the courage to come and share a piece of your life, a piece of your soul, a piece of your life story, it's a huge deal. So kudos to all of you out there. Thank you so much.
I'm curious about, like, if the women are sharing with you, when you first reach out to them or they reach out to you, like what's the beginning, their first kind of approach or their vibe like, versus afterwards when they see the finished product and they see what, you did with their story. Can I hear that?
Yeah, totally. So most of the time, like when I reach out to them, I just let them know that, you're doing this. This is amazing. You are 100% a Ninja Nari, that we would like to throw a spotlight on you. So they kind of, some of them are so quick to respond, and they're like, yes, we would love to do that. So we get the whole process going of where I send in the questions, and then they get back to me in a few days. Then I put it together and all like in a cohesive way. But the best part of it is that, some of them, once they see it, they right away share it, and the amount, like, I will see the responses from the person itself. Like, they'll tell me, my parents are sitting with me, like Kasturi, I shared her story, and she's like, my parents are sitting with me and they're so grateful for sharing. Thank you for sharing my story. Just, because as a family, they go through so much together. So just seeing that out there, that is the ultimate reward. And then the second thing is, like, there was, I think it was Suchi's story. I saw like 100 likes, over 20 shares, reshares. I was like, what in the world is happening? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, those
There's
things.
People connect in all sorts of ways. And I think the best thing is, like, we all connect in different ways. So we're not all the same woman, thank goodness. And we all have so much to learn from each other. And so I think that's awesome that Suchi's story brought so many people to this place of, okay, like this is helpful, or I want to share this with my sister, or my mother, or whoever. And I bet you most of these women, including Suchi, who you mentioned, has no clue. You know, probably didn't even want to do it. Probably thought, well, again, I always hear this, like, oh, I have nothing to offer. And those are the people that always have everything to offer, is the ones that don't think so. And, you know, when you go back to what you said about the rinse repeat cycle, I think we get so caught up in, like you said, the day to day, that it's very therapeutic to read your story. And the only way to really read your story is if, like you said, you're brave, you're vulnerable, and you share it. And there is something so to be proud of in a way when someone, you know, writes this for you. And even when I read mine, like I know my story, I answer the questions, which I saved those because I found that was a really good journaling session, by the way. You're right. They're not controversial, but they're questions that ask us about our roots, our values, where we come from. And again, we just do the things we do, and stopping and thinking about, you know, my favorite songs and things that you forget about. I think after when I read it, it was so therapeutic to be like, that's cool. I'm kind of a cool person. Like, that's neat. I, you know, you'd never want to admit it. And so, but I was so proud to read that. And I bet you all the women, I don't know how many of them would admit it, but I bet you they all felt it's probably something similar to what I felt, which is somebody cared, right, about you to do this.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying that, because I think that's exactly what I have heard from people, is that that first question about background is so deep. It because we're all just, you know, we're going on and on in our lives, right? So I think it forces you to stop and revisit. You know, the pieces which are so important in your life.
Definitely.
You hold it so close, but the daily life, it kind of pushes them back. So I think it helps you to pick up those pieces again, and then, you know, carry forward to the next phase of your life.
Right.
That's really, I'm glad that I'm able to do that.
Yeah,
and thank you so much once again, thank you for everyone who's able to do that.
Yeah, everyone that joined and everyone that keeps, you know, like everyone should be sending more people in. And, you know, you and I talked about, I mentioned a friend beforehand, and even you were like, oh, you should consider her, like get her on Ninja Nari. And I'm like, yes, like it's right in front of my face every day. And I didn't even connect the dots to that. So hopefully this will be a reminder for others. And women aren't the only one that need to nominate or, you know, connect you. Like if you want to share something about your wife or your mother, or your sister, a friend, or whatever, like you don't have to, you know, be a family member, right? Anyone can say, hey, connect with Neha from Ninja Nari. Let's get this going. So
and in fact, there is also that I think that's beautiful. I love that, you know, right? I've actually had very little luck in people nominating somebody else, like people who they know.
Yeah.
So I think if we could get that going, that would be the what I don't know what to call that exactly, but that would be the next step for Ninja Nari, where people are, you know, celebrating other women in their life too.
Right.
But another thing that Ninja Nari is very excited to do, it's supposed to be a secret project.
We get to know,
but it's not really something that I brought together.
Okay.
So we have International Men's Day coming up in November, and I have one of you know, there is this one person who really follows Ninja Nari, and he's very supportive in our journey, and he's even willing to offer some free services that he does.
Nice.
So he was like, would you be willing to, you know, spotlight me for International Men's Day?
So cool.
I was like, yes. You know, because it doesn't necessarily just have to be, I mean, I give a lot of credit to the women in my life, like Karen, you know, my sister-in-law, my friends, my daughter, everybody, you know, but I think the men in my life are so important to me too, you know, I mean, they've given me the wings, my father, my husband, you know, and I wouldn't be anywhere, my son, I wouldn't be anywhere without these people.
Totally. And I like that you bring that up, because sometimes we lose sight of that. I think, you know, women have had to work very hard over the centuries to become equal, have a worth, have a say. Today, you see so many wonderful women like yourself out there encouraging, empowering, role modeling. And I think I think sometimes we think we can't appreciate men around us because we are trying so hard to honor the women. But like you taught me, and when we met the last time, there's the word and. It doesn't have to be or. So you can be a Ninja Nari. I think it's about good humans. And, I think that's a cool part of your journey, which reminds me of when I first started the podcast too, was like, I thought I was going one way. And my friend, he said to me, you have no idea where you're going to be by episode 50, 100, wherever. And I think the same thing, like you are now wanting to expand, look at something else. And I think it's healthy to show on your site about, okay, men that support us, support what we're doing, as well as, it's a two-way street. Like we also have to have that kind of connection, right? Both ways. So I look forward to that in November.
So I just want to know, how did my middle fingers up expand it? Did it expand?
Oh, yeah. Well, we just, when we started, it was...
I think it will be nice for the audience to know that.
Sure. Yeah. Like, sorry, are you asking like how did you...
So your journey...
Yeah.
In a consistent...
Look who's interviewing me now.
I'm just... See, I've always admire people, like you're doing your own thing. You're an entrepreneur in that sense. So how did your middle fingers up, your little baby, your little business, how did it grow?
That's a nice question. Thank you. I think it started, maybe you can understand this, it started from a crisis. Mm-hmm. Crisis is opportunity. Something crappy happened, a racial event. And then, I got quiet for a long time, quiet at work. And that's not like me, quiet in my life, because it made me just go inside a little bit and think about how is this affecting me. Also some choices I was making, because I felt like I was contributing to the racism too. There's a lot of internal stuff. So I left my job. I made some big life changes. And this opportunity came because I had a lovely village around me. I have my husband, I have my family. My sister-in-law is another person who said, you should do this. Let's see what happens. And I think sometimes maybe you can agree when entrepreneur, sometimes you need those people behind you, right? That believe in you more than you even need yourself to start 100%. The business or what you want to do. And there was some friends that were like, you're just wild. Why are you doing this? This is silly. And I don't know, sometimes I agree, you're right, I shouldn't do this. But that time I was like, no, like, when you really want to do something, you don't know where it's going to go, but you got to start it.
Well, you're not wild, you're a vibe.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. I'll have to tell those friends. That's
your Insta bio.
There you go.
Don't call me wild. I'm a vibe.
There you go. Perfect. I'll have to change it to that. I love it. See, you're so good. You're my marketing. How many times have I reached out to you, said, you got to help me with my marketing. But then, conversations, you start one person, when someone says yes, takes a risk on you. Like you, I had family I was interviewing, and then therapist friends. I've worked in mental health all my life. So I have a lot of resources in the mental health therapist friends that work in all sorts of kinds of things. And they came. And then as you're working through your passion project or a job that you're proud of, or your baby, raising a baby, we grow along the way, right? And so the expansion really was talking about all sorts of different topics. And then from there, realizing this is a great place to focus in on BIPOC community, and inviting everyone else to come around and support it. And now where we're going to go to is, I think, just the gup shop, like just shortening it, having some small conversations that maybe people can connect to on the go. And but that's one of, who knows, like, that's what we started. But that's enough of me now. I don't know why you're interviewing me, because we're talking about you. But is that what you were asking? Because like, yeah, right? And like, who knows, like, right, collabing and all sorts of different, like, when you meet people, it's a network. Like, I got to meet you and all the resources that you bring. Right? You got to meet me and maybe like a couple of the resources I have, but we these women
because of you, I was able to interview Spotlight Harjeet. And then, I've ended up now making a friend with her. Yeah. Like we went for lunch together. Yes. See, that's how the community comes together, right? I
love this. It is nice. It's hard to talk about with others sometimes because it's hard to explain it, but you're one of those people that are in that network. But I'm meeting a lot of South Asian women like you in this group, including your Mandelas and mocktails that you did, where there are like, you and I will have a job forever because there are so many so many stories to unlock, don't you think?
Yeah, no, and and if it's a beautiful job.
Yeah,
it's a responsibility because so
I agree with you. Lots of growing, lots of learning, right? Like sometimes it's like, okay, if we're going to talk about some of these things and we have to practice them too. So I think sometimes the podcast keeps me in check where I'm like, oh, I can't go on there until people talk about it. And then here I am at home being like, I don't want to talk. I have to also talk about it. So it's nice. It's nice that I'm meeting really nice people that are listening. And I love the people that I don't even know. But they send feedback. I love them the most because I would never have known that they existed if they didn't reach out and say, I loved it. I hated it. It was cool. Can I come on? It's like, that's the cool stuff.
That's beautiful.
So you're going to get that too. You're going to get people nominating. You're going to get people doing that too, because somehow I went from calling people to people now saying,
that's amazing.
Hey, how about me? So yeah, I think I think there's so much space for these things, right? Like we have a lot in us that we want to get out.
Yeah.
And it's cool that we're doing it in a way, like you said, that's serving the community. And that's what it's about at the end of the day, is how can we serve our community?
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
So Ninja Nari, the other thing, you already congratulated the women that share their stories. I'm glad you did that. Are you still finding challenges? Like, what can we all do to help?
It's getting better where, I mean, I think I don't necessarily still have a bank where, I can be like, if I don't get a response this week, then I won't have a spotlight story to put out. So I would love it if, so many of you show up and be like, hey, can you shine a light on myself? Or can you shine a light on my sister, my friend, my whoever, your friend, your coworker. And so then I would love to have a spotlight story bank with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we could do is, if we could, just look around you. I bet there are so many women, who have supported you in one form or the other. Just nominate them, and I will do the rest.
Okay, and you're good at that, so that's perfect. That's all we have to do. So, and where can we find Ninja Nari? Where do we go?
You can just either find me on www.ninjanari.com or on Instagram. The handle is ninjanari.yyc.
Perfect. And then we'll have that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm holding your book. This is amazing,
Woo-hoo!
By the way. Spooks and Sparklers, a Halloween and Diwali Adventure. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about, actually, before we talk about anything, we should give a shout out to your illustrator, Basma.
Basma is amazing. Yes, she was so patient and receptive. She's in India. So we kind of worked through WhatsApp.
Yes.
But she understood my vision. We had so many reiterations, but she was so kind. So woohoo, Basma.
Yeah, and it's like adorable too.
Thank you.
The illustrations are perfect. They're so good. So how does one have an idea like this? A story about Halloween and Diwali, and then create a book. So can you please tell us, there's got to be a story or something that inspired you to write this story?
It goes, it goes back. I think my father, he used to always tell me, I used to write some little snippets, little cards, and, he used to always encourage me to becoming a writer, so when he passed away, then for 2 years I was grieving, but then after that I was like, I have kids. I can't go on grieving. I gotta do something about it. So one day we were just talking. The first thought was to leave a forever legacy for my kids. So to leave that forever legacy for my kids. But then one day we were just talking about costumes. My son is very excited. He's, trick-or-treating it gets him going. So he was talking about costumes like back in April, so no pressure. But and then I just mentioned to him, it looks like we might have Diwali on the same day. So he's like, oh no, why? Halloween is so much more fun.
Of course.
So I was like, yes, but so I think that's where the spark came, that this is a great topic for me. I don't think I think I was just toying with the idea of writing a children's book, but then it just started, like I said, I think the timing, the universe knows the timing.
Yeah.
So it just started falling, everything started falling together, right? Like finding Basma and understanding the process of writing a book. Because just with me, I'm like, I need to know the process way beforehand. Otherwise, I don't dive into anything.
Yeah.
So with Spooks and Sparklers, I think everything started falling in place on its own, and then I just, with Halloween and Diwali, I just realized like it's very important for me, for my kids to be grounded to the roots, and also to, understand the inclusivity also around this different culture,
Yeah.
So I just want them, to know that to have both the cultures and recognize that they don't have to choose one over the other.
Right.
They can honor both and use the diversity to enrich their lives.
Yeah.
So, and also, yeah. So that was, and also to know their identity. Like sometimes
Yes.
my son, he will now go that sometimes he would say what the things like that, and I'm like, we don't say that in Indian culture. We do not abuse.
Yeah.
So he's not allowed to say what the even. So one day he heard my husband saying Hindi BC.
Oh,
And
good.
he's
The
like,
best one.
did Dada just abuse? We are not allowed to abuse in the Indian culture.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yay. But no, Dada did not abuse. It's just
It's like they learn. Like on one hand, you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're understanding this. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, now they hold us accountable. So
Yeah.
you're like, we can't do this in front of them.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's how Spooks and Sparklers really came by. And I think what you will see in this book is that there is fun and spookiness of Halloween,
Mhm.
but then at the same time, there is also the warmth and joy of Diwali, and as I would even, I mean, I know times have changed, and parents are becoming more and more inclusive. They are encouraging their kids to lead a multicultural life. So but regardless, I have still come across people, who will not let their kids go to celebrate Halloween just because it's not our. Actually, the one word that they used was satanic, because
Mm.
Halloween can be satanic. I think I respect their their feelings, their thought behind that.
Mhm.
But and that's what they do. It's you do you kind of thing, how
Right.
you want to raise your kids. Nothing is right or wrong, but at this, for myself, and I think for the other parents who want to raise their kids identifying, knowing their roots, knowing the rich heritage, but also acknowledging that this is the culture that we are in right now.
Mhm.
So it's for you. If you read the book, read the book with your kids, and they will also understand the differences that they might not be able to articulate right now, that why are we celebrating these two festivals when some people, their friends, might not even know about this festival.
Right.
So it can be confusing for the kids too.
Yeah.
But if you get a chance, please read this book. There are some neat ideas also. You can, if you want, you could even carve a pumpkin out in the form of a diya or a little om. If you want, you could also. I did that in the past, where I reached out to my son's teacher and, just mentioned that it's Diwali. Would you be open to reading a Diwali book, or would you be open to sharing some Diwali crafts in your class? And she was so, kind and
That's
open to
amazing.
doing all that.
Yes.
So, so those little things, there are those ideas in Spooks and Sparklers. So I hope it helps you. And I hope you guys celebrate both the festivals with lots of joy, lots of dhamaka.
Aw. Okay, so help me with like a lot of what I'm hearing you saying again is living in the and, not in the or. And I love it. We can have both. Even something so simple as carving a pumpkin. Yeah, you can totally bring Diwali traditions into that. I love that. So for you, like, what are you hoping this book can bridge in terms of the gaps that we always fall into between, our cultures, whether Western and then the Eastern? So if you could bridge some of those gaps for your kids, maybe big kids like me who are now dealing with some of those things, what are you hoping would be the outcome that comes out of this to help there be a celebration of both?
Yeah, so with this book, I'm just hoping that these nothing big, it has to be really small, creative moments like that carving the pumpkin, or even just a simple the fact of reading this book with your kids at night or on Diwali morning.
Mhm.
Just these simple things, it can help children connect with their heritage while feeling part of the broader community,
Yeah.
holding on, understanding where their unique identity is.
Mhm.
So it's just uh a simple effort from
Yeah.
my end,
Yeah.
and if it can help even one family out there, I'll
Yeah.
feel like I've achieved something. But other
Right.
than that, it's a forever gift for my kids.
Yeah,
That's
I'm sure there's so many, like when you had brought up the idea months ago when we talked, I thought so hard about, man, like, I'm, I'm born and raised here, so I'm dealing with something a little bit different than maybe you are. But I really thought hard afterwards, like what it would be like for you to be here doing something like this. And then I was thinking, I'm like, if you were still in India, like you wouldn't even had the opportunity to write a book like this, to know, that there are these different cultures and stuff. So on one hand, it's like really cool and exciting that this is happening. And so I look at it from that perspective, because the way I grew up I feel is, more negative for me, that it wasn't, when I didn't know how to do both cultures, it was confusing for a lot of us kids. So that's why, earlier when I asked what's the advice or what you would give, because I think there's a lot of big kids like me who now are going back to our childhood and saying, okay, little Kieran, you're okay. You can be Punjabi and live in Canada, all that kind of stuff that we all do as we work through our identity. With your kids who are growing up here, you're already ahead. You're like aware, you're recognizing we need to pay attention to these things. What do you hope when they're my age looking back? Like, what are you hoping they learn or take from what you're trying to teach them about both cultures?
that's such a deep question. um uh, just I haven't thought about like what I just see when we do, me and my husband, we do jeje, as my kids say, right? So after I'll light a diya in the morning, and then after the puja is done, then I kind of take the aarti and just put it on their head. So sometimes my daughter will do that on everybody, like she'll take the aarti and she'll give it to everybody else in the house. They'll sometimes just sit in front of the, like when we are celebrating Rakhi. Yeah, there you go. So see, I hope like when they grow up, and let's say me and my husband, we are not around still, like my kids, I hope they're celebrating Rakhi. Then it's not just a festival. They understand that we are celebrating the little bond that
Mhm.
we have. So that goes way back to their heritage, their roots, their identity, from where they come from. And we watch a lot of Bollywood movies, so I hope they can continue doing that they also dance to Toba Toba afterwards, like they do now. They love dancing on, like my daughter's new favorite song is Kala Chashma.
Oh.
So it's
Yeah.
it's just, I hope these little pieces, it's just, even with us, like it's not that I am following everything that I did with my parents back then, because the
Mhm.
amount of religious ceremonies or activities we used to do back in India,
Right.
we are not doing the same level of religious activities here.
Yeah.
We formed our own little traditions. We formed our own ceremonies that me and my husband, we've decided that's what is a perfect fit for my family. So I think that's exactly what I'm hoping
Yeah.
for my kids too, also, or for other second generation, third generation kids to do that, is
Yeah.
to take what fits,
Mm.
take little traditions from their childhood to what would fit the best in their adult life.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that's well said. It's like having that balance of,
Mhm.
and also I think it's fair what you said, that some traditions, whether they're spiritual, religious, or customs, like they do change over time. Way things were done, maybe in India, you're right, would be done a little bit different here. And then however many years later, after my grandparents immigrated to where we are, we do things even more so in a different way. But I think what you're saying at the end of the day is like, not forgetting where we do come from, and honoring where we are now, but also like not forgetting where we come from. And I think these little customs, these traditions, these rituals, a lot of those are what are helping me go back to my roots. Like I'm so thankful that there were customs and traditions and rituals that we've always done as a family, but only now I'm realizing the meaning behind it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's all we can hope for is that, we leave our kids, or, we leave these bits of our community or not where we come from, and people can take something from that and
I think that's
build.
very well said, because that's exactly my feelings. Is because when I came to Canada, just as I think South Asian people, we are very. I think we are very easy. We easily adapt to other people. We easily adapt to other people's traditions and culture. So I think of just these past few months since I started Ninja Nari is when I started acknowledging our culture. I've acknowledged that this is what I want to pass on to my kids too. I don't want them to just know, not just mindlessly do the traditions. I want to be more mindful about it.
Yeah.
Like I want to be more mindful about what I'm passing on to my kids. So Ninja Nari has been a huge part of that, and it has helped me find my being, my sense of being, my purpose. So
like, why am I doing this kind of a thing, right? Yeah. What's the meaning behind this? So then it actually matters when I'm doing it. Otherwise, why am I doing it?
Totally.
That's what you're meaning, right?
100%.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And I think it brings awareness.
Yeah.
Like, okay, again, like that rinse repeat cycle that you're trying to get away of, the more you're aware of this is what, with intent. I think living with intent it's wonderful, because we have more awareness, we have understanding, we have a purpose, we're figuring out why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that's a good way of looking at that for sure.
Yeah, no, totally. And I've had some women, who have just reached out to me and be like, I love your posts. Please keep going.
Good.
I'm like, thank you,
yes.
because thank you for saying that. That little thing is like a little push that, there are women who are looking for sisterhood, who are looking for a community. Like this is kind of a community like yours, Kiran. I don't think had I not started Ninja Nari, I wouldn't have come across so many amazing people just like you, I think there are so many amazing South Asian women who are doing fabulous work out there. I think I used to look around like, where are these women? For some reason, I could not find them. And now since Ninja Nari, it either it's algorithm. So thank you, algorithm. But it's beautiful. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Absolutely. It's like one door opens and you cannot believe the opportunities that come from it. And, you stayed committed, you created Ninja Nari, and it's a very authentic thing you did. You did it because out of the goodness of your heart, that's how you feel. And so how many people have you met along the way? And then those people introduce you to other people, all because you had one idea, you took a risk, and okay, if it didn't work, it didn't work. But right now, look at where you're at, right? People are getting something from it. And I huge shout out to those people that it takes a couple of seconds, but just a little message of keep doing what you're doing. Good work. Thank you.
Yeah.
It may seem like, should I even write this or what? But I just think it's amazing when we tell people that we adore them. We're grateful for them. We love that one post or, resharing. I think that's great because you're trying to build resources and network. And it's nice to see that there are so many more women out there. Because I was the same way. I'm like, where is everyone? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, you've been here all along. But sometimes we're not ready to see what's out there too. We're just not there yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. Can I ask you about the book though? Like, what would you say was the hardest part about bringing this book to life?
I think the hardest part was being authentic to the characters. Just making sure that, just conveying, because conveying inclusivity in diversity and inclusivity. What am I saying? Inclusivity in diversity is we can talk about it, but then putting it on paper it's difficult. You got to make sure that I remember like Basma and we were discussing some illustrations. So she sent me one, like Halloween was done, trick or treating. The bit in the book that was done, and then the next page was about Diwali, and on the left hand side of the page was a pumpkin, a Halloween ghost or something, which was sad. I was like, Basma, can we change that? It feels like Halloween has lost and Diwali has won.
Oh, good point.
So that little thing, it was so just those pieces of being sensitive to those little details, that was a hard part. And making sure, I mean, you will see that the book, kind of the two main characters are my kids, so making sure that, they also come out beautifully in the picture as characters. So.
That's amazing. And I love that you thought so hard about how this wasn't about offending anyone, because you're trying to bring people together, cultures together. So that's the last thing you want to do. However, you're right. When you do put product out there, whether it's the book, your Ninja Nari, we do have to be mindful, absolutely, how we represent, and because we're trying to send a good message. So I love that you said that too, Basma, of like, we're not trying to say one's better than the other. Did you face any of your own like internal conflicts about how much to include from each cultural lens?
Yes, a little bit, because there is so much. There are so many pieces of Diwali, so many pieces of Halloween. So you gotta, you have to know where to stop, where to know when like this is enough. Like we don't need to put the whole spiel out. So that I think that's in everything that we do.
Yeah.
Right? Just making sure like when is enough.
Yeah.
So
So that I know, because we could just keep going, right? Yeah. Like it can be too much. How do you think this book will resonate or like, sit differently for the first generation kids versus their parents?
But I think the first generation their parents, I think they will probably appreciate the fact that how Diwali is reflected in the book, and it's just the colors are so beautiful. So it's just, you see in the end there is this last picture is with the family and the grandparents. So
I'm gonna flip to the page while you say that.
It just looks it just feels like coming a full circle, sort of.
Oh, it is so cute. Look at the grandma, Nani. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
She's holding laddus.
Exactly, so even if like, we it's just me, my husband and our kids here, but I was like, let's go with it. This was Basma's idea. So I was like, there are so many families out there who have grandparents. So it just feels complete.
Yeah. Such a big part of the elder generation, right? Having them around. And also like, I think it's nice and symbolic too of this comes from our ancestors and our elders. So there you go. That's what you can say. But everyone's going to take what they want from it. Yeah. And I think the bottom line is what you're saying, which is like, let's connect, right? We don't have to separate it. We can do it. We can enjoy them both. There's no comparison, which is what, I keep hearing you saying, which is I think the most important thing. And I think that was a hard lesson for me, was we can't compare. Even simple things, those of us that get married and have kids, it's easy to compare how one mother-in-law versus the other mother-in-law, right? Because we all grew up in different homes and it's just different. There's no need to say, well, someone's mom does it this way and someone's mom does it that way. But we do that because we are comfortable with what we know. Yeah. And you're trying to say, okay, we can get comfortable with what we don't know too, which is learning about another culture, right?
Yeah, I mean, like for first gen kids, I think what they already know, because I mean it's in our genetic code, it's in their genetic codes, both the culture. So it's just a reminder.
Yeah,
this will serve just as a beautiful reminder of what they already know. Yeah. And it's just they're like, oh yeah, I know. I mean, Diwali is not sad. There is firecrackers, there is a fun. So it's just a beautiful reminder of that. And like, I think my biggest struggle this year is going to be, how we kind of turn the Halloween lights off when you're out of candy.
Right.
With Diwali, you cannot turn the lights off.
Yes, all the lights are on. Yeah.
So if you guys have suggestions around how you're going to combat that, please let me know.
Good luck. All the kids from all the neighborhoods are going to know this one light is on. You got to keep going. Yeah. But okay, so even that, like, I don't think about those things, but I go through those things. You know, we experience them. Yeah, we turn the lights off one night, and then the other night, every single light, all the candles, everything is on, and such differences. But you just do it. You do one thing, and then you do the other. And again, it's so nice sometimes to just sit and reflect. And like reading this book with our kids, I think it's going to be interesting what comes out for all of us.
Yeah.
Have you been getting any feedback yet from people that have read it?
My daughter reads it every night.
Yeah, because I know it hasn't come out yet.
It
so
hasn't.
yeah,
like it's yeah. I mean, I have sent it over to 2 more people, and I'll be gifting it to Harjeet because Harjeet told me that her niece had the same emotions about. She had the same thing. She said, "Okay, Halloween is cool, but why Diwali?" So then she immediately thought of Spooks and Sparklers, and like, you know, I you will not buy it. I will gift it to you because, you know, I mean, this is just the perfect thing that, you know, we're trying to do here. So
it'd be cool to get this we could get this in schools or libraries as well, just to add some diversity.
It just is. It's a lot of work to get the books in the libraries and in the bookstore, and
the way to get them in the library, and I'm learning this, is you can call our local libraries and put a request in, especially if they're BIPOC books, because we don't have very many relatable books in libraries for different cultures. So if you are from a different culture, or there are libraries around here that will be willing to add that to the resources. So it's worth us calling in and just checking. Yeah, I was learning that from someone else because there was another book we wanted to get in there and figure out, because not everybody can sometimes afford to buy the book or what. And then, you know, at least we know that there's something like this there where kids go and see that. Is there a page? Is there a line? Is there a drawing? Is there something that is your favorite thing about this book that stands out for you? Yeah.
So here, there is this page which says, "UV is really looking forward to Halloween. I can't wait to dress up and go trick-or-treating. But when his mom mentions Diwali, he looks puzzled and he's like, 'Mom, why do we have to celebrate Diwali too? It doesn't seem as fun as Halloween.' So then Neha smiles and explains, 'Halloween is a fun time to dress up and hear spooky stories and even eat candies. It's part of our culture here in Canada. On the other hand, Diwali is an Indian festival of lights where we celebrate the victory of good over evil.'" You know, so this was just how, you know.
Yeah.
And in the last one is when I think Yuvan, where UV understands that as the celebrations end, UV realizes how great it is to celebrate both the festivals. "I love Halloween and Diwali. We get to have double the fun and learn so much." So he appreciates both the cultures and their celebrations more now.
Aw, look at that. I love it. Awesome. That's great. Okay, and where can we find this book if we want to purchase it?
Yeah, so it will be available on Amazon. If you visit Ninja Nari's Instagram page, I'll have the link in the bio. You know, so yeah, or otherwise just shoot me a DM. And if not, I'll have few books to give away. You know, if you're looking to gift it, I have a few books in my inventory. So just shoot me a note, and till the stock lasts, I'll just take one.
Okay. I have a baby shower to go to this weekend. So I'd like another one because this one is mine. So I would like to bring that. I think it would be so cute. The parents would like that.
Oh my God.
For her, for the little baby. She's
thank you.
You know, I think that's so cool. They would love that. We found a little one at Winners, and it was about Holi.
Okay.
Which was like very interesting. I was like, oh, I would never imagine. Actually, it wasn't me, that my brother and his wife found it. So it tells me that we're getting things out there. I would never have, you know, randomly found a book like that. So it'd be cool to have these things out there where, again, we stumble upon them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I've actually started to see so much representation out there in the stores out there.
It's happening.
Yeah, but then when I see in that one side, when I see that, then I meet with some people who go like, "Oh, I've never heard of Diwali."
Yes.
So it's still there.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is so much. We gotta own our shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's your quote for the episode. We gotta own our shit.
And we gotta take up space, you know. I think we're so comfortable in being submissive and being just sitting in our own little corner, and stop doing that. You know, just come out, take up space, man.
Yeah. There's so much space to take, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a good message. I was going to ask you if you have any tips for parents on how they can continue having this kind of conversation with their kids. So what would be some advice you would give?
I'm no expert at parenting. Like, Kiran, I'm not perfect at all. I'm learning as we go. So I don't know if I'm the right person to give advice to parents out there, but I can share what I do with my kids is when my son comes back from school, I always ask him, how was your day? And just making sure that he's in the habit of, sharing snippets or doing those little chit chat, what he calls it. Mama, can we do chit chat tonight? So then he tells me about his day, and even if he misses any important details that might have affected him during the day, but it comes back to him later, and then he brings it up. So I think just keeping an open ear, because parenting doesn't come with a manual, right? Like we all know, each day is different. So if you could just be patient, have an open ear to your kids, and I guess one thing is, like how when we have a bad day, if we're not able to find a parking spot, we lose it, right?
Right.
So just imagine your kids who are not seeing similar faces in school, and so just be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And be kind to the fact that they are still going out there, and not complaining for the fact that why are people of my own skin color not out there. So I think those are we have our little troopers at home. So.
Well said. I'd like to just highlight something you said just very well about kids. I think you're right. We forget that their little brains are not developed in the way ours are as adults. And so we talk to them like they're exactly where we are. And we have to figure out how to talk to them where they are. And it's so good that today we have so many resources. Like we can go online and there's so much information about brain development. And sometimes when we're struggling with parenting, I think it's my basic I go back to is like, okay, where would my kid's 13-year-old brain actually be developed? Because I'm talking to him like he's 16, but he's 13. And, when they don't have the vocabulary, like you're saying, and they're at school all day, preschool, hockey, sports, all that, exactly what you said is they don't know how to communicate all that. They don't have the words and ways. So that open ear is so important because they will just say it was fine. It was just good. And we have to dig a little bit more, be a little investigator because they don't know how to tell us. Like my son, if I didn't ask him for 5 minutes and I was on and off one day because I was like, oh, how are you doing? Fine. I knew something was wrong. So I waited. A few minutes later, I asked in a different way. And then he just started crying and he had a bad day at school. And I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. Yeah. And it was his bad day was so cute. And he had a, moral issue. He believed something. Yeah. Someone said something and he stood up. But then his friend got in trouble. So he was so sad, right? So he felt guilty about that. So if I didn't keep checking in about that, he would have just thought he has to just deal with it in his head. Right? So I love that you said keep that open ear because a lot of times our kids are giving us so many messages all day, and we just we
that's your maternal radar, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
right there, right?
You just gotta keep that always up. The antennas need to be up always.
That's right.
Tiring, but I've just come to realize, like, when you're a parent for life.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment. It's a huge commitment. So, but
if you have a village, then it doesn't feel like it's a jail commitment.
Yeah, no, it's not a jail commitment at all. Yes, no, for sure. Find your village.
Find your village.
Yes.
Right? Neha says she's got space in her. So, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you always have room.
You all the time.
For people to join the village. Okay, lastly, I want to ask you, like, what would you say to a parent or maybe an educator who wants to use your book as a way to, educate, but they're not too familiar with Diwali or the South Asian culture? Anything you would suggest to them or, to help them out?
Yeah, like you said, there's so much resources available on the internet. Please go read about Diwali, about maybe first generation, second generation families, South Asian families, like what their experience might be, what challenges they might be facing, just so you can be more receptive, more sensitive to their being, to their problems, and that ways you can help them navigate through these different cultures, through these different festive moments, which we might feel are so exciting and so, there's such high spirit and everything going on, but there might be somebody, a child who might be feeling confused. So as an educator, if you could, learn about these challenges, so that can help those little people.
So well said. Okay, before we close, man, what's your middle fingers? Let's do it.
My middle finger up is for people who do not show up.
Oh,
So
shit. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. I mean, that's it.
That's it. That's
just
simple.
show up. It's simple. Please show up for people around you, even if, they might not be doing things as you expect them to, but please show up in little ways or the other.
Yeah.
That's it.
Lovely. I love that. Okay. So you talked about where we can find the book. Is there anything that you want to bring up or about the book or even Ninja Nari that maybe we didn't talk about today?
No, I think we covered it all. Yeah, I guess, I mean, since Mandala and mocktails happened, a lot of people have been asking me about when is the next event. And I think this is where I fail, because Ninja Nari, or Kiran, you would know this so well, right? Doing anything community related, you started on your own, but then you realize that, this is a community effort. We need more and more people for it to be successful, to be out there. So, if you have time, if you're willing to, support the mission, then please come along, more the merrier. So please come along the ride, become a founding member. I'll be happy to do that. And, and let's I've been thinking of some events, but then life gets busy.
Yeah.
So, it takes up a backspace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping to do maybe monthly socials, or maybe even a Christmas event for moms and kids, with like a joy and jalebi sort of thing, so.
I want napkins that say joy and jalebis on them, please. We need to make these things.
Awesome.
Okay, let's do this. Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, well, I'll sign up. I'll be part of that, because I agree with you. Like, we can't look to one person, and then we're not a community. And then there's lack of accountability if I'm just looking, and then I won't show up.
Yeah.
Right. So, and if we want to show up, if we want to do these things, and we got to put our heads together. So I love that people want more of it. And that when we left, there's so many of the women were like, I'm craving this, which really goes to show, if we do our own research and these conversations, like, there's so many women out there, whether it be South Asian women or us women, we get lonely, and we forget about what it's like to socialize. We forget about what it's like to just share our own issues. A lot of women care about everyone else but themselves. And I think it's not the way to keep our light going if we keep, maintaining that way. So having events like this, I noticed, like, it's not just about going and drinking. I mean, there was no drinking there. The women are craving socializing and having actual conversations.
100%.
Not just, oh yeah, did you see that movie? Like, I met a woman there, and I love asking questions, and then I just started, and she first was very closed. And then, I love that, because I'm like, that's my challenge. So, asked a couple more, and you were doing a very therapeutic exercise. Palak, our artist, she was leading us with mandalas, which is so therapeutic. And this lovely person just started talking and sharing about her and asking questions. And then all of us at the table were talking. And I thought, okay, this is
it's powerful.
It is. And, we got to find more opportunities together to have those moments, because back to rinse, repeat cycle. But that whole thing of, we don't know how to be present when we're so go. And you can see the women are craving this kind of conversation. So.
It fills my soul too. When I go to these events, I mean, it fills up. There is definitely, like, because we're doing so much every day, and it's like a routine. So you break away, you meet more women, of who have the same life somewhat as you, who are in the same boat a little bit as you. So you relate, So, and then it fills up your cup. It fills your cup, and then you go back to doing your rinse and repeat.
Exactly. Can you give us a call to action? So if there's one thing, and only one thing, people listening today take from our conversation, what do you want it to be?
Read Spooks and Sparklers to your kids, and maybe keep that conversation going with in their school, in their daycare. Make Play-Doh diyas in daycares of your kids.
Okay, so thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm going to do a call to action, and my call to action is go get the book. Everyone, go buy the book.
Thank you. Yeah, the link will be in bio on October 3rd. I'm a little bit superstitious that way. It's Navratri, so I would like to be live on Durga Day 1.
There you go. I love that. I love talking to you, Neha. I always appreciate conversations with you. So thank you. Thank you for your
Call
time.
me out for it. I don't care, but I'm superstitious that way.
Hey, you know what? Everyone has their own thing. We all, in our own way, just don't like to admit it. We all have routines or rituals or something, whether you call it superstitious or, belief or what, right? Like, yeah. So every person that loves sports, they're the ones that are the most superstitious.
There
You got to sit somewhere. You can't. I mean, every time I'm watching the Canucks in the playoffs, it's very interesting. Like, we can't say something, so you're not the only one. Don't worry.
Thank you.
People, Okay, so for everyone else listening, thank you so much. If you want to be part of this conversation or if you want to add anything to it, we always say these are door opening conversations. So please reach out to us. Let us know if you want to be part of the Eastern and Western conversation. Let us know if you have information or feedback or questions for Neha. Maybe you want to be part of Ninja Nari, which would be amazing. So, and you don't want to reach out to me. I will help connect you. Otherwise, you know where to find Neha. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me, Kiran. It's always such a pleasure to come here in Kiran's beautiful studio. It's very chic. It's totally Kiran. It's so nice knowing you. It's so nice talking to you, connecting to you, sharing these little glimmers from my life. So thank you for that. Thank you for being part of my life and giving me these opportunities.